So every single Sonic character in the franchise has a unique and pretty awesome ability, right? On average, they are used for good, you know, for protecting their friends, protecting their loved ones, and pretty much saving a whole world of dangerous forces and anything evil related, right? While most of these abilities are incredibly unique and hold a special place of who the character are and what they're meant to be, you have to think twice of how deadly they could be to a normal human being or just someone who is directly against that person or that character. You know, they hate them, they despise them, and just how deadly they are in their eyes. In today's video, I'm going to be ranking every single Sonic character just based on how deadly they are, talking about their abilities, their uniqueness, and how good and bad they are, or just how OP they can be. I'm not going to go in chronological order, but I am going to throw them into a tier list as you guys can see here. So without further ado, let's just not waste any more time, let's get right into it. Okay, starting with the Bluebird himself, Sonic the Hedgehog. Obviously, when someone first laid eyes on him and then just played one of his games for the first time, you obviously know that he is super fast, has spin dashes, has the drop dash, all of that. Obviously, he's most famous for his speed, you know, he runs super fast, unless of course you start walking, but then of course as you move the joystick, the button, or whatever the heck you're playing on, he starts to accelerate, and then eventually he can reach his top speed. Obviously, Super Sonic is a lot faster than that because he's got all the 7 Chaos Emeralds and he's more powerful. But Sonic has more than speed, you see. Aside from running around, possibly having fun, and then just destroying enemies just by kicking them, punching them, etc., and just basic attacks. If you have played the classic games and just know how he jumps, he basically turns into a ball, and then if you're on top of an enemy, at least in the 2D games, you'll know that he just directly bounces off of them, kind of like Mario would, except Mario just stomps on them instead of just rolling to a ball like Sonic does. And of course, able to take down those badniks, those enemies, or just any bad guy in his way. Aside from his speed and being able to roll into a ball, Sonic also has this unique dash ability called the spin dash, which he uses to roll up into a ball, curl up, get some momentum in. I think if I pronounce, forgive me if I'm saying that wrong, I think it's momentum, get some momentum in as he spins, and then get ready to let go of the button and just put on some speed as he rolls. Forgive me if I'm wrong for that. To trigger this, of course, you gotta crouch down if you're playing on 2D, press the jump button, and then you'll see him do his spin dash attack. Basically what happens here is that, of course, like I just mentioned, he rolls into a ball, builds up some momentum, and then when you let go of the jump button, he just unleashes, basically. No, not Sonic Unleashed style. He basically starts moving fast, but of course he stays in ball form and just rolling up enemies, possibly slicing and dicing his way, and then just ripping the robots in half, literally. I feel like the movie version is slightly more powerful, although they may have the same ability power level, because of course it basically both the characters are Sonic, the same character, except the movie Sonic is a pretty much different character, a whole different story, and the modern Sonic is obviously just, you know, the basic storyline, the one that's still going on to this day. So if one was to think twice of it, I mean, just be honest, if he's charging at you with that spin dash attack, he can pretty much launch at your face and then just, you know, he can pretty much roll up into a ball and then just hit your face, and then you can only imagine how deadly that maybe. Just let's be honest. Of course, his most deadly form and most dangerous form that makes him more powerful is the super form, which we won't want to talk about much since we're also excluding the super forms. Just heads up there, we're not going to talk about the super forms. He flies into the air and it just moves way faster than normal Sonic, and he pretty much destroys anything in his path, especially evil. So aside from the super form, while some of these may seem useless to someone who has played Sonic all his life and just seen as fun, pretty much from the perspective of someone who is against Sonic, like Dr. Robotnik or Metal Sonic, just seeing how he sometimes can easily take down the bad guys and it just always wins. We can pretty much see that in the very first game with Robotnik and his boss fights with just a few hits to his ship or vehicle, whatever the heck he has. And then they go down in just a few hits, basically. Those were pretty much old 90 games, so they didn't look as harmful as they would now, where they actually feels more cinematic, especially in the movies, how his abilities and what he can do. So for this scenario, I would put him in B just because he could use this for good, and then just obviously not super much to worry about if you're on his side. But thinking about his spin dash and what he can do to just slice a whole enemy in half, and his spin dash being able to possibly split open a badnik in half as he spin dashes towards them is just something, if it was a real human, let's be honest, of what the aftermath would be. So just for the perspective of Dr. Robotnik and all his other team, I will go ahead and put Sonic in the A tier just for the sake of it, and we're not including his super form, but pretty much he is pretty much the main star and pretty much always wins every time he goes against the bad guys. So yeah, who would Sonic be without these abilities, right? Like, he would just always lose. So I think pretty much A tier could be a decent place for him for the sake of this video. Next up is his best friend, Miles Tails Prower. So yeah, he may look cute, adorable, and just a little smart head to the people who are on inside, or just people who just simply quote-unquote simp for him, but I'm not gonna go into details for that, because girls don't like him because just for that, they just think he's cute or he's just awesome, right? So Tails, he may look like a poor little fox who just can't do anything except just flying around and then just using his tails as attacks, and he seems weak just because of his sheer height and just size. But just like Sonic, there is more to that than him just flying around and have fun with his two tails. And then obviously people just bullying him for his two tails, but I think they're awesome, just let's be honest. We do know that Tails is the companion of Sonic, like his best friend basically, and then through him he can make these inventions that can help take down bad guys. And with these gadgets, they can use them to help, you know, take down the badniks in their path, their enemies, and possibly even using them to trick them. For example, the hologram ability that he has in the movie. I keep talking about the movie version. What am I even saying? He is also smart enough to repair the tornado, and in fact, he has the same IQ as Robotnik does. But obviously, based on Robotnik's more inventions and based on how much he spent on these inventions, just based on because of how rich he is, let's just be honest, he's not as strong as him. Although maybe not as deadly as him, basically. So that's pretty much everything we have to say about Tails. But of course, he is a very unique character, and of course, one of the most important characters in the franchise. So for this case, I will not put him in C tier just because of how he's smart, and then of course if you get bitten by him, you know, he may have rabies, so let's just get the frick out of here and just put him in the B tier, just right below Sonic. Of course, that I'm not saying he's weak or he's deadly, but he is deadly based on intelligence, because obviously if he outsmarts you, that may not go well for you if you are against him. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, next up is the Knucklehead himself, Knuckles the Echidna, and okay, this one might be a hot take just for some Knuckles fans. Let me explain why. I should probably mention that this is all my opinion, so if you guys have your opinions, just let me know in the comments down below. And without further ado, let's just go in and talk about how deadly Knuckles is. So Knuckles is a strong Echidna, raised by Echidnas in a few tribes, growing up to become strong an Echidna warrior. And of course, as his name suggests, has strong, you know, you can see how see why his parents name him Knuckles, or just the character designer, whatever way you want to say about it. So yeah, Knuckles may actually be stronger than Sonic, at least physically, based on muscles and build, but sometimes Sonic does end up winning the fights, at least most of the time. So I will put him above Sonic, but let's be real, if he may look tough, but he's not the smartest character in the entire Sonic franchise. I mean, just how easily he can sometimes fall for tricks. For example, in the Sonic X show, we do see that. I think it's around episode 4 or 5. I think it's episode 5. Again, like, I've not seen the show in a fair bit, but I think it's episode 5. That Knuckles, despite being on Sonic's side, believes Robotnik's stupid little lying story that Sonic is responsible for bringing them to Earth, and then just, you know, basically what is going to happen is that they're going to suffer if Knuckles does not help Robotnik. And then if he's friends with Sonic, which I think he also claims in the show that he is not friends with Sonic, at least in that episode he claims that, why does he fall for that trap despite him being sometimes helpful towards Sonic? Like, why you think a bad guy would taught you out of it? That just makes it easier for the bad guys to win. Like, if a bad guy automatically just easily goes towards you and asks for help, they're just trying to trick you, basically, unless you can actually see them change. But no, Robotnik doesn't change. I had a feeling that Knuckles was going to fall for it. So I would, because of what I've just mentioned, I would put him above Sonic in the A tier, but because he's not the smartest hardy head we know, or knucklehead, whatever, I'm gonna put him just below Sonic, but above Tails. I mean, he's strong, but if he was smarter enough, he would probably go above Sonic. But I'm gonna put him in A tier for now. But I know some people will probably put him above, but I'm gonna go below Sonic and then just put him in between Sonic and Tails. Okay, Amy Rose herself might be a hot take part 2. So when she was first introduced in Sonic CD, she was just a basic little Mario and Peach character, basically. You know, when she ends up getting captured by Metal Sonic, and the story involves Sonic trying to save Amy, but also stop Metal Sonic, his new nemesis at the time, and Robotnik, who has actually returned from the first game. After she ends up being saved, of course, she becomes attached to Sonic, and of course, as time went on, she actually received her own battle hammer. I forget the name of the hammer. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I remember it hasn't a name. I don't know if it's a fan-made thing or if it's actually official. Let me know what the name of the hammer is in the comments. I'm so sorry. And of course, in the Frontier story, she is actually more of a character that also needs to be saved, including Tails and Knuckles, but that's not what we're here for. We're just here to talk about how deadly she is. So Amy may seem like an innocent little character, just wanting to be chill and just have fun with her friends, and then possibly even going to stay with Sonic, wink wink, wink wonk, I don't know. So yes, while she may look weak and useless, and then of course she ends up getting captured at times even after Sonic CD, when she goes berserk, one thing you do want to make sure is that you don't cross the line of disrespecting her, because, you know, that's when she does get angry. She goes basically Dr. Robotnik, DK, Bowser, on you, basically. She basically goes crazy with her hammer and just threatens to attack you. Unless you're an enemy, of course, then obviously she will destroy that enemy. And then just, if you mess with Sonic while she's around, let's be honest. I would also say she is slightly smarter than Knuckles just because of her awareness and just how persistent and positive she becomes over time. So because of that, I will have to put Amy above Knuckles, but below Sonic. If Sonic and Amy were a duo, I think they would probably go together in the S tier. So I'm gonna put her above Knuckles, but below Sonic. Okay, Shadow the Hedgehog might be a little tough one here. So Shadow is basically a quote-unquote faker version of Sonic, except he has a lot more darker fur and a lot more reddish to him. He has a little bit more unique abilities than Sonic does, aside from speed. As you can see, he is wearing air shoes, right? Which allowed him to move around at lightning speed, kind of like skate. It looks like he was skating, but obviously they're air shoes, as confirmed to him in Sonic Prime, which I'm not sure why he just looks like he's skating. I just want to say so bad that he is skating. I want to say that line so bad. If you have played Sonic X Shadow Generation, or just Shadow Generations, whatever you want to call it, you can see that he is able to launch Doom Spears, a Doom Blast, and he can grow wings at times, the Doom Wings, I think that's what they're called. In his super form, not that we're going to go much detail into it, he is also slightly more stronger than Sonic. And to my eyes, I would say to defeat him, it's definitely not impossible, but based on a human's perspective, I think it is definitely really hard to take him down. I mean, we do see him how he takes down the gun agents in the beginning of the third Sonic movie. Just straight teleport, quick reaction, and of course, just based on what I've learned from that, your reaction time has to be actually quick to actually at least land one bullet on him. But of course, if you somehow convince him to be on your team, of course, you and whoever you are, you pretty much will belong in the same tier list. Pretty much, or maybe go slightly down depending on your strength. No offense to anyone who is around that, kind of like not so strong. Forgive me if I offended you, I'm sorry. Anyway, back to the Doom Spears. Like, if that hits a human being, they will probably most likely be paralyzed and just probably die with just one spear thrown at them. You can also see him do it in super form, launching those spears at the enemies, at Joe Robotnik's robots. And then I would say Super Sonic and Super Shadow are about the same strength level in their super form. Just based off his slight anger issues, or just based on of how his backstory makes him a little bit upset, and just how these extra abilities that we do see in Sonic X Shadow Generations or Shadow Generations, I would put him in A, but just based on how good he's able to take down Black Doom in that game, I'll go ahead and put him in the S tier. Probably the only S tier character that, at least from the characters that we will be covering in this video, I would say Shadow is probably the most deadliest one. Of course, there are probably the other more deadly characters, but they're definitely not impossible to take down, so I'll stick him in S for now. If you say he's lower than Sonic, okay, just let me know in the comments if you disagree. Okay, Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik is kind of a tough one to my eyes. I mean, from a human perspective, he obviously is super dangerous. He can throw little robots at you. He can just pretty much launch a surprise missile attack and then just blow you to pieces, or just maybe even rip you limb by limb if there's so much stuff in your way, like so many batnicks. I should not have said it that way. So just like Tails, he has an IQ at around 300, so really intelligent, really smart guy. Probably the smartest guy in the world, with Tails being the smartest fox in the world. I'm not saying in the world, by the way, I'm just saying based on the franchise and just based on the universe, depending, unless you really want to live there. So yeah, from a human perspective, like I said, he may look pretty dangerous, and of course deserves to be in jail just based on his actions. That's why I say he is definitely not as deadly as Sonic. Because he may be smart, and of course he may be intelligent. He can have ways and thoughts how he can rule the world, and he's a pretty smart guy and figure out inventions and what he can do to take down the Blue Blur himself. But let's be honest, based on Sonic and his friends and their perspective, he loses all the time and then just pretty much fails at destroying Sonic, unless of course you're really bad at the games. But canonly, he obviously loses every time. Sonic somehow finds a way to outsmart Robotnik and just take Robotnik down, his inventions, his robots, and at the end of any Sonic media, he pretty much loses to the heroes, Sonic. So he would definitely go into the A tier, but I would say below Amy and Sonic. Because like I just mentioned, if you just cross the line on disrespecting Amy, she will go full on anger at you. She would just go ballistic at you and just maybe bust your head open with that hammer. But obviously Sonic, he's the hero, so he has to be above Robotnik. But of course, I would say he's definitely more deadly than Knuckles, because Knuckles is not the smartest Echidna in the world. Let's be honest. He may look tough, but he's not so smart. Meanwhile, Robotnik knows how to trick him. So if Robotnik had to pick one person to fall for a trap, it would definitely be Knuckles, because obviously he's just too easy. I guess he's just very easily at trusting people, but I think he doesn't even trust people that much. I don't know. He may have trust issues after that. So I will put him above Amy, but just based on like I just said, I will definitely put him above Knuckles. But so I would just put him in the A tier, but definitely below Sonic and Amy. Next up, Metal freaking Sonic the Hedgehog. I hate this guy, bruh. I mean, I don't hate him. I think he's a good villain, but I just don't like his character. He's just annoying to me when it comes to the games, especially in Sonic CD. So Metal Sonic is one of the main antagonists in the entire Sonic franchise. He is obviously the Metal counterpart nemesis to Sonic the Hedgehog himself, the original. So Metal Sonic is extremely prideful, I would say. He is someone or something that appeals to himself, to Robotnik or Eggman, if you prefer that name. So Sonic first encounters him in Sonic CD for the very first time in the Sonic franchise, and that's the game he is first introduced in as a pretty much original faker version of the original Hedgehog, Sonic. He is also a pretty strong character just based on of this shot from one of the animations for, I think it's Sonic Colors Ultimate. I don't know. I think, is it Ultimate? I don't know if Ultimate's in the title. So from a human's perspective, obviously, if he's just extremely chaotic at times, he can just basically just charge at you and just start attacking you with his deadly metal claws, then just, you know, do what he has to do to just take you down. But obviously his main nemesis, he just straight up despises and hates Sonic himself, because obviously he ends up losing to Sonic at the end of the race of the Sonic CD game. We do know that he's also responsible for the captive of Amy Rose in Sonic CD, and just, you know, ever since then, he's just been going after Sonic to get his revenge for beating him in that race. Metal Sonic also has his neon form, I think it's called Neo Metal Sonic, that is shown in Sonic Heroes. But of course, by the power of the 7 Chaos Emeralds and the power of teamwork, he is also able to be taken down from the 3 main characters, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. He is obviously a bad guy, you know, obviously bad guys have to lose at some point, even if they have to, you know, win sometimes along the way. But obviously, let's be honest, the bad guys always lose eventually, even if it takes years or maybe even decades. So I would say he is definitely not above Sonic based on how deadly he is, but I would say he is slightly above Amy. Amy just because of that incident where Amy is captured by Metal Sonic. And then I will also put him above Robotnik just because I would say he appeals to himself to Robotnik, because I would say he's pretty much kind of his son, but not, and I'm saying it in a weird way, but I would say he is extremely prideful to his own creator, Robotnik, right? But of course, if Knuckles was right there, right next to them, but of course, just he's not that smart, I would put him slightly below. But I'll put Metal Sonic right there, for just below Sonic, just because obviously he always loses to Sonic, and I can see his hate growing stronger and stronger every day, or at least every time he battles him. And of course, just based on a human perspective, the robot, the machine, look at him. He just looks dangerous. He's just straining right at you. Look at that. Look at that menacing face he has. That menacing look he always has, bro. Did I just say has, bro? I'm not talking about the company. I'm just saying, look what he has, comma, bro. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, next up, Rouge the Bat. Kind of a tough one to me. She is as strong as Knuckles, and she can also be pretty deadly, but she can actually be a helpful assistant if you take on her side. It's not what y'all think. Just trust me on that. I would say she is a very stealthy character. I mean, just based on how quiet she moves in the dark, you can barely see her. I mean, she's a bat, so she's got to move around at night. That's when she becomes more deadly. Like, at least not even physically attack you, but you know what I'm trying to say. In the few past games or past media, she has been seen as a helpful assistant to help Knuckles sometimes, even in the Shadow Generations game. You can see in the end of the game how she is able to take an emerald back to where it belongs, you know, so they could use it. We can see her using emeralds, you know, just to take back, be given instructions, and even though she is pretty hard to trust at times, just based on what she can do to you, like basically just physically attack you and then just take whatever you have. If she actually earns your trust, and then I would say that her way of playing it is actually smart. Pretty much every Sonic character that was just mentioned can use the abilities in a good way, you know, if they're on your side. So Rouge in this case, if she was against you, she will probably somehow find a way to sneak up past you, or just sneak up on you and just attack you, or just sneak past you and then just steal whatever you have. And if you try to attack her, she is as strong as Knuckles. She could just, you know, attack you. Basically, do the screw kick. I think it's shown in Sonic X. I think is it only shown in the Japanese version? I don't remember. So I will put her at the bottom of A tier, next to Knuckles, right there, because I would say they both have the same amount of strength. But if I had to pick though, I think Knuckles will slightly win the fight just because he is a lot more buffy build, and then Rouge she is strong as Knuckles, but obviously if she's not that smart enough, you know, things go wrong, even though Knuckles is more of the dummy here. But nonetheless, she is also a very important character in the franchise. Let's be real here. Okay, the next characters we're going to do sort of a lightning round, since we pretty much covered the main characters, and the ones we just finished mentioning are basically the ones who I wanted to cover the most. So from this point on, we're going to do a sort of lightning round, but I will also talk about just their abilities and where I will put them in the tier list. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Silver the Hedgehog is up next. So he's a Hedgehog from the future, sometimes ironically, I don't know why, also mistaken for Sonic in the 2006 video game for, I think it's PS3 and Xbox One. I think that's all the correct consoles that it is on. I am not talking about Project 06. I know, it's basically 06, but I'm talking about the original game. So Silver has this unique ability, which allows him to move stuff around the way he wants, kind of like telekinesis style, except I think telekinesis is only moving things with your mind, so right here is a little bit different, although I think it can also be used for as a power to move things with your hands. I could be wrong on that. I mean, if Sonic and Shadow and Silver went on super form and then worked together as a trio, as seen at the end of the last story of Sonic 06, it will make him slightly more deadlier. I mean, let's be real. He does go after Sonic when he does first meet him, and then of course you don't want to mess with him because he can basically just pick you up, make you a little dizzy, and then slam you to the ground and just finish you off. Mostly a Badnik though. If you're an enemy, he can just obviously just do that, or of course he can just, you know, move things around and then just, you know, just destroy them with his mind, basically his ability that he has. So due to the lack of what he can do to you, most likely worse than Sonic, at least in my eyes, I will put him slightly above Sonic, but obviously he's not going in the S tier just because I feel like Shadow can slightly win in the fight more than Silver can, but of course, I think the only way to beat Shadow is probably find out a way to outsmart him. So just for his unique ability and just thinking of what he can do and just how useful he can use it to just move stuff around and then just unblock paths so he can proceed with the game or continue on with the story, I will put him slightly above Sonic in the A tier. But I would say they're pretty much about the same deadliness, except for a human perspective, I would say Silver is probably slightly more deadly. So Blaze Cat has a Burning Blaze ability that she uses whenever she collects all the Sol Emeralds, all the 7 Sol Emeralds, which she also uses that form to take down the final boss of Sonic Rush alongside with Super Sonic. She also does sacrifice herself for her friend Silver at some point during the 06 story. So I would put her around the same place as Silver is, but since Sonic and Blaze kind of get along a bit after they meet, I would say they make a good duo. And if she would go up against Metal Sonic, Amy, Robotnik, Rouge, Knuckles, I would say probably she would be slightly more deadly just because of her fire ability. I mean, let's be honest, with that fire ability, she could just burn down Metal Sonic and just put him out of his misery and then just forget about everything that has ever happened, even though he's AI. So because of that, I will put her in below Sonic, but slightly above Metal Sonic, because let's just be honest, she would probably burn you down if you just stand in her path. Okay, next up, the Chaotix Trio, Vector the Crocodile, Espio the Chameleon, and then Charmy the Bee. So there isn't much to talk about with this trio since they pretty much all have their own personality and unique abilities. For Victor, I would put him below Tails. He could just use that big old mouth to just chomp down on a human being, and I'm pretty sure a crocodile's bite is stronger than an automotive engine. Because let's just be honest how deadly it could be if he actually bites down on you if you just make him mad. Let's just be real with you. But I would say Tails is slightly more above just because he is actually smart. He can go full on blow, hey, I'm a genius, scientist, brainiac attack on you. And then Vector, his way of attack, I would just say that, you know, he's also smart. I mean, he's a detective. But just based off that big old mouth and just how deadly he can be from that bite, I will put him slightly below Tails. Espio is a great character for stealth. You know, he can turn invisible, he can camouflage just like a regular chameleon, and he can just sneak up on you and it just takes you by surprise and then just straight up attacks you. He's also part of the Chaotix, so I would put him slightly above Tails just because of he can probably be stronger than Tails, because Tails, even though he's a little kid, he is smart, but I would say Espio is slightly more stronger. He can just sneak up on you and possibly give you a heart attack. Let's just be real. And here we go, Charmy. I mean, he's just an annoying little creature to some people, and just doesn't really do much. I mean, at best, he can just, you know, he is able to just make people laugh, I guess, or just, I mean, he is pretty heroic in the IDW comics, but I haven't read all of them, so yeah, I would say not the worst character of the entire franchise, but I would say if he's given a heroic role in the future Sonic games, I will probably put him in the B tier, but below Vector. But he is definitely below Vector, so I'm gonna go ahead and put him in the C tier. I mean, I'm surprised we made it this far, and then we just put Charmy in the C tier. He is by far the only character we put him in the C tier. Definitely not D tier, because I would say he's definitely got some potential. I see it in him, trust. Okay, Omega is up next. Now, this is a character that is seen in Sonic Heroes, being part of the Dark Team, helping Rouge and Shadow do what they gotta do in their business to, of course, obviously just get to the end of the game, basically, and maybe even possibly even beat Neo Metal Sonic. So not really particularly a bad guy, but I would say he was slightly, just based on his build and just how deadly robots can be, I will go ahead and put him above Rouge, but definitely below Knuckles. I mean, if they both rival together, just based off how strong Knuckles is, I would say that Knuckles will take the cake here. Of course, he maybe not be smart, but he's really extremely tough. So yeah, definitely don't mess with either of them, especially Knuckles. I mean, don't make him angry. I would say Cream the Rabbit is slightly more deadly than Charmy the Bee. I mean, yeah, she's very innocent, she's very cute, very friendly, very kind to others in her community. But a few smart people do know that she actually has the ability to fly, but not as good as Tails, but I would say she definitely has a good flying pose. I mean, I'm gonna put a screenshot, and it was even featured in one of the episodes of Sonic X. Was it featured more than one? I think it was, I don't remember. And of course, as we've seen, she had destroyed Emerald in one of the ending of the episodes. I think it's after that one fighting arena thing while fighting for a Chaos Emerald. I mean, that's why I would say she is slightly more deadly than Charmy. I mean, she can use that kick to just kick you in the face and then just be done with you. And then just pretty much she would just say, I'm sorry, but I had to do it. But she's able to fly, obviously not as good as Tails, and I would say slightly below Tails. But I will put her slightly below Vector just because of how that big old bite he can take out of you. So I would also put her in the C tier, but she definitely is more deadly than Charmy, at least in my eyes. Her friend Cheese will definitely go right next to her, because I feel like if they both work together, he can probably do slightly more damage to the enemy that they're both fighting at. Chaos is an interesting character for this video. I mean, he's a monster from one of the times during the Echidna tribe era, and I'm seeing a connection here that I get why it's called the Master Emeralds or the Chaos Emeralds, something along those lines, where obviously if he gets all 7 Chaos Emeralds, he transforms into this giant watery-like monster that just doesn't even look like Chaos. It looks like something out of Aliens or something. First introduced in Sonic Adventure, and then later his reappearance in Sonic X, and then later in Sonic Forces. I don't know if he has other appearances, let me know in the comments. He may just look like a monster just made out of water and then just not do nothing to you, and it's obviously just a little splashes to the face which just disappear, right? Well, you're wrong. He can turn into a drip and then just run away and then just escape. But canonly, we do know what happens. Sonic goes super form, he takes down Chaos and then just saves the world, and then obviously everything goes back to normal, right? So because of that, I will put her slightly above Blaze, but definitely below Sonic just because of obviously he's the bad guy, so he has to lose. I know you guys are gonna say, yo, Shadow's a bad guy too, but I mean, he teams up with Sonic sometimes, so I mean, if they both work together, I think they would make a good team. But I will only put Shadow on Edge just because of his backstory and just what he can throw at you, just because of how kind of dangerous he can be when you make him angry, or if you're just his enemy, basically. Big the Cat doesn't appear super frequently, but I would say he is also a really interesting character to cover on today's video. Although he may look fat and just big old fat and just not do anything at all, just sit around, don't do crap, and then just go around fishing. Just based on his build and his height being around 6'6". And no, do not say that other one in the comments, bro. Please, do not say that one other number. Now that I mentioned that, someone's gonna say that number. Just watch. I will put Big the Cat probably above Charmy, but obviously with Cream being able to fly and just kick at you as she's flying and how strong she can get when she's angry, I would definitely put Big the Cat slightly below that. But he's not the worst character ever. I think he's pretty good. Like, pretty underrated character. I mean, I would love to see him play a huge role as the franchise continues, like in the very last Sonic game. Maybe even have him be at least one time be a hero for another character. I mean, I do see good things in him. I mean, everyone has good intentions sometimes, right? And for a bonus, I will also be including Trip the Sun Gazer, who made her first and possibly only appearance, although I don't know for that for sure, in Sonic Superstars. So she is a character that is at first not really teaming up with nobody. I mean, she was with Fang at times, and then obviously Fang just neglected her pretty much. I'm not saying that way. Basically, Fang doesn't want her as assistant anymore, as a friend anymore. I don't know what happens in there in that cutscene. I mean, she does have a double jump ability. She is able to crawl above walls or just anything mountains related, and whenever she's turned into a ball. She also has the ability to turn into this giant flying golden dragon that she can use to take down her enemies. And that's something we do see around some point in the Sonic Superstars storyline, the main story. I would say just because we do see what she can do to enemies and how good she can do with that double jump and that ability being able to climb through walls, I would say I would put her in the C tier, but just slightly above SBO. I mean, SBO can turn invisible and he can't throw a surprise at you, let's be real. But to my eyes, just based on of that double jump and then basically just seeing her super dragon form, I would say she is slightly above SBO. Wow, that was a lot to cover, wasn't it? I mean, of course, just warning, there is definitely a lot more characters out there that I could cover, just rank them to see how deadly they are. So I'll put a screenshot just based on what there's still left in the tier list that I did not make. I did not make this tier list. Maybe I'll put up the warning at the beginning of the video that I did not make this tier list. So if this video does well, I might actually cover them in another video and then just rate them how deadly they are. Of course, there are other of your favorites here, including IDW comic characters, so yeah, in the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching if you made it this far into the video, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know your opinions down below in the comments if you agree or disagree, and just let me know if you think which character is deadlier than who in your eyes, in your opinion. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.